Join me today as we talk about the final episode of Star Wars Skeleton Crew Season 1 on Disney Plus. This is the Geek Ball channel. My name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be talking about the final episode of Star Wars Skeleton Crew Season 1. Don't know if it's going to be a Season 2. No clue. So, I guess the important question is, was it any good? Yes, I think it was. I think it pretty well hit most of the marks I was looking for. There's one or two things that I wish would have gone ahead and gotten resolved or mentioned, just because there might not be a season 2, for two reasons. One, that I'll get into in the spoilers, like I'm not 100% certain where it would go plot-wise, but also apparently the ratings have not been great, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So, to get to the non-spoilery stuff, like I said, good episode, good follow-up to the last episode. I don't think it's any major spoiler to say that essentially the pirates attack AT-ATN and try to go for the gold, literally. And then, the plot happens. Everyone continues to be, decent actors. The kids are doing their part. Jude Law knows exactly what he needs to do, and he's doing it. In typical, kid adventure storyline fashion, the adults are mostly useless. Although they do come around towards the end. Still, some Goonies vibes here. I've heard other people compare it to Treasure Island, which I've never actually read, so I don't know. May have to do that someday. If I ever do, I'll mention it in the comments of reading Treasure Island, if it was at all like Skeleton Crew here. So, before getting to spoilers, I thought it was a good finale. This could serve as this is it, this is the end of the show finale. Like I said, it would be kind of difficult to continue. I'm sure someone could come up with a plot. I'm not going to claim to be the best TV writer. I do have some thoughts on that, and I want to take some time to really kind of process them, maybe come up with something more than just my basic, they should just do X, and whatever. And so probably in a couple of weeks I'll do a video talking about that. But anyway, so as far as the ratings go, the ratings haven't been great, and I haven't mentioned it as much as I did with the Acolyte, because honestly the Acolyte, like I said, was trash. So knocking it down a peg or two the entire way, that just kind of comes with the territory because it was bad. So here, I feel this is more like Andor. Now, I don't think the show is as good as Andor, I want to be clear on that. But I think this is the show is suffering for reasons external to the quality of the show. And I think that two things have happened. Number one is the apparent spiral in Star Wars ratings. But number two, more specifically, the Acolyte is what happened. The Acolyte was truly bad. And I've got the feeling that a number of people were like, well, that's enough Star Wars for me. Thank you very much. I'll see you never. And walked away. And I don't know how many of those folks are ever going to come back. A lot of them might never come back. The Acolyte might have, the sequel trilogy didn't do the franchise any favors, but the Acolyte might have well and truly done lasting damage to what was left. And it's going to be a shame if it did. So, I think this is very similar to the situation with the movie Solo. Solo was perfectly watchable. Solo was okay. It wasn't mediocre. It was better than mediocre. It was definitely not trash. However, it was what came out after The Last Jedi. And The Last Jedi left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And they probably looked at Solo like, well, do we really want any more Star Wars right now? Not if it's like The Last Jedi, we sure don't. And they never gave it a chance. And based on the articles I saw at the time, Hollywood definitely did not take the proper lessons from that. I think the same thing happened here, where the audience took it out on Skeleton Crew. Plus, depending on which economic indicators you want to listen to, the economy is either really good or really bad right now. And if you're one of those people fortunate it's really bad, you're not going to keep paying the escalating prices for Disney Plus because I'm not so sure the content's there. And you've seen my videos. I like stuff on Disney Plus. Like X-Men '97 was spectacular, Andor was spectacular, Mandalorian season 1 and 2 were great, Mandalorian season 3 lesser quality, still not terrible. I thought Ahsoka was at least entertaining. Book of Boba Fett, that was a little sketchy. I thought this one was entertaining, and The Acolyte was bad. So, like, on the overall arc of Star Wars content on Disney Plus, I think most of it is at least watchable. Which, again, as I've said before, isn't where Star Wars should be. Star Wars should be in the spectacular range, but since the quality curve is being dragged down, and I'm naive and stick around with it, like I guess I'm just going to live with acceptable. Um, and the Marvel shows, for the most part, are entertaining. Some a little sketchy, but like She-Hulk. But for the most part, they're good. So I don't know. To me, I don't know if that's enough. That was the problem because I just have no use for like a ton of the content that's on there. And then I look at the other streaming services. Now I'm not paying for that one. I'm yeah, I'm not going to go any farther with that comment, but let's just say I'm not the one paying for it. So I am paying for others though. Like I got a year of stars for like $25. You know, I pay like $7 a month I think for Shudder. That's all the horror movies I could ever want, plus Joe Bob Briggs. That's the real reason I have it. Uh, then the other people here pay for Netflix, which just has endless content. I have Amazon Prime, so I get Prime Video, a bunch of stuff on there I like. Then there's I get Paramount Plus, and it's got ads, but I don't care. I grew up watching cable TV. I can live with ads. And it's got, since I'm not really paying for it, I get it with another service. It's got, a fair amount of stuff that I watch. Landman was excellent. And based on that and some other recommendations, probably watch Tulsa King next. I hear Yellowstone's good. I haven't watched it. And there's some other stuff. Plus, there's a Star Trek shows. I mean, Discovery, but all the other Star Trek shows are on there too. So, at least for now. So that's why I'm saying, like, and the problem is, like, Disney has the content. They have the vault. Plus, they have the whole Fox vault now, too. And everything from the MCU and Lucasfilm. And, like, somehow they're having trouble. So that just screams mismanagement or mispricing. Again, I've mentioned it before. I think it's mispricing. I think in their minds they're the super primo brand, and they're just not. Like they have not come around to the fact that they are no longer the Coca-Cola of the entertainment industry. Like Coca-Cola dominates soft drinks to the point that, for those of you who are unaware, the number two selling soft drink is not Pepsi. The number two selling soft drink is Diet Coke. That's right. Coca-Cola has both the number one and the number two top selling spots. Their diet drink outsells their nearest competitor's main drink. Or at least it did last time I looked a couple of years ago. So, yeah, like Coca-Cola is the premium brand among soft drinks. Like, without a doubt, that one is, you know, that race has been run. Disney is not that. Disney might have been that at various points in time, like in the 40s when they released Dumbo, but like they haven't been that for a long time. Now, they had a bit of a renaissance in the 90s. They have the MCU and Star Wars now. They've driven Star Wars into the ground, and they're slowly killing the MCU. So they're literally living on past glory. And they don't recognize that. And until they do, these problems will continue. Because they think they can just put anything out with the Disney name, and like they don't see that the things are just crashing and burning. Like it's like I have no idea where this disconnect is, but it's somewhere, because they keep releasing things that are losing them money, and they keep acting like, oh, we're the number one brand, and you're not. You just own a lot of the content. You own the stuff from the glory days, but you're not advancing it, and that's, a lot of entertainment is, that's great, but what are you doing for me now? So, anyway, that's a whole sidetrack there. I should probably do a video about that. I think I have, actually. But anyway, so into spoilers. What actually happened in this episode? So this is spoilers, so here we go. Jude Law convinces them that he is a representative from the Republic, and they're going to give him access to all the credits, but he's like, hey, I need my other ship to come down here. And so they're like, well, you got to talk to the supervisor, overseer, I think it's supervisor. And so he takes Fern and her mom to go to the supervisor. But he tells the parents that the other 3 kids have to go home. They're under house arrest. He wants the droids to monitor everything they say and report back to him. And in typical, this is a kid's show fashion, none of the parents really question that. I mean, they say, like, is that necessary? Well, yeah, that's it. That's the conversation. There's no, like, this seems exceptionally harsh, or trying to tell the droids, like, why are you listening to this person? He just showed up with no credentials or anything. Why do you trust anything he says? So, you have some moments like that. Then they get to where they're going, and then you meet the supervisor in the, I'm assuming, supervisor's tower, and it's a droid, a giant droid. Imagine like a big kind of R2 head, kind of thing. And so then Jude Law's like, oh, I'm a representative of the Republic and the Jedi. And he's like, that's curious. He's like, because the last transmission we got from the Republic said that the Jedi had all become traitors and were to be exterminated. So the last message they got had to do with Order 66. And so the droid's like, so you're lying about one of those 2 things, or both. And Jude Law's like, well. So he whips out his lightsaber, and all the droids in the room start shooting at him with the stun blasters. He's able to deflect them long enough to realize, I'll just take out the main one here. And so he stabs the supervisor droid right in like his big droid eye and burns him out, which then shuts down the other droids and starts shutting down the power. So he sends a signal to the ship saying that he's down on the surface and he made it through, and he's going to tell him how to get through. Forces Fern's mom to tell him how to turn the things off so they can come through, which they do, but they leave the cloud intact. They just like admit the ship. It's like the lightning bolts don't hit it. So it gets down to the surface, and the pirates all start piling out, start raiding everything because all the droids are down, so they have no defenses. So that's when Wim is able to explain to his dad what's going on, and so him and his dad's trying to get their vehicle running, and then Neil shows up with KB, and they're on their hover bikes, and they're not part of the grid, so they still work. So they all take off. Wim's dad takes some guy's hover bike and follows them. Then they come up with a plan, and their plan is that they're going to have to take the Onyx Cinder to leave the atmosphere and the protective shield to go get a hold of the owl lady they talked to back in the 2nd, 3rd episode, because she knows how to get a hold of the New Republic. And they're going to tell her what's going on, give her the coordinates, tell her to send a bunch of X-Wings to take out the pirates. So KB is going to pilot the ship, but they need to turn the power back on because the docking clamps are still holding the ship in place. and they need to distract the pirates. So Wim and his dad are going to go to the supervisor tower to get the power back on, and Neil is going to go to one of the buildings. There's a turbo laser thing up on top of it, and I think he knows this from the episode where they're on the other planet that looks just like theirs. So that's how he knows how to operate it. So this plan more or less goes well. They turn the power back on. KB takes off, and Neil starts shooting the pirate ship. Although they quickly figure out where the fire is coming from and blow the turret up after he dives out of it. KB goes up, sends the signal, gets a hold of the owl lady, and tells her what's going on, sends the coordinates. And then she heads back. On the way back down, she gets shot down, and they see her crash. You see that she like talks to him, is like, "Oh, how'd you fly the ship?" So he's like, "Well, I had some help." She put SM-33 kind of back together. So the ship crashes. They're concerned she's dead, and so now Jude Law has Fern, Wim, and Fern's mom and Wim's dad there, and is basically like, "What are you people doing? Like, I don't want anything to actually happen to you guys. Like, I don't want to kill you." He's like, "I have killed people, but only people I thought I had to. I don't enjoy doing it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to kill any or hurt any of you. I want you guys to just go back to your lives and just keep making those credits, and we'll all be happy. I'm just going to take the credits, which isn't going to hurt you in any way, because that's what you're already doing." And actually, from his standpoint, it's a perfectly logical transaction, you know. So Wim's like, "Oh, you lied. You're not a Jedi." And he's like, "You're right. I'm not a Jedi." He's like, I think he said he was a nothing. He's like, "But then a Jedi found me and began to train me. And then I had to watch as they killed her right in front of me." So she was killed in Order 66, which I'm sure, plus his upbringing, like, is why Jude Law's character is the way he is. You know, she taught him enough about the Force and everything that he knows how to use it a little bit, and probably enough about the Jedi code that, like, he's not a bloodthirsty tyrant or anything, but he's also the way he was raised, and seeing her killed right in front of him, you know, obviously that had an impact on him. So he's willing to kill because he knows the galaxy's a cruel place, or can be. But I think he genuinely doesn't want to hurt the kids. Like, that's what I got from it. I don't think, you know, he genuinely didn't want to hurt anybody. You know, in that moment anyway. So there's a switch that will permanently disable the shield around AT-AT. And Fern's mom is initially not going to throw it, but Fern, Wim, and Wim's dad are all fighting Jude Law, trying to get to the switch, and between his lightsaber and his force powers, he's able to hold them off. But then Wim's dad grabs a hold of it, it's a lever, and then Fern's mom finally comes to her senses and jumps on it, pulls the switch. So the shield drops, then the X-Wings from the New Republic and B-Wings show up and start blasting the pirates, take down their cruiser, which crashes. The B-Wings, notably here, they do something I've never seen B-Wings do, and based on some other videos, this doesn't seem to be something that we knew they could do up to this point. So this is new canon of some kind. Possibly breaking canon, don't know. But the B-Wings, when they're in their attack configuration, they have they got like the pod, then a long wing that extends down, and then a cross wing, so that it looks like this. And the 3 points of the wings have laser cannons on them. And this shows them with all 3 of the beams firing together onto a single spot, kind of like the Death Star does. So that's new. Look cool. I'd kind of like to know the reasoning behind it. I don't just completely trash all the Disney stuff out of hand. If it's a cool reason, you know, okay. So they take them down, the pirate ship crashes. Don't see a whole lot of bailouts. I'm assuming most of them died. Then you see a Corellian Corvette from the New Republic showing up. I don't know if that was meant to be like heavier support, or if there's like some delegates like, "Hey guys, so you've missed a few things here. We need to bring you up to speed." And we'd really like those credits too, by the way. Yeah, and Jude Law's character just kind of stays there in the supervisor's tower as everyone leaves, as he's watching his dreams literally go up in smoke. So the show just kind of ends around there. Oh, KB was perfectly fine. They find the crashed ship and they get her out. She's fine. I think SM-33 might have been okay too, but yeah. So it more or less ends there, and so that's why I say I don't really know where you're going to go with season two, because well, they came back home, like they found the treasure planet, like it's the one they lived on. So what else would they do? Like it would require them to steal the ship again, maybe. Uh, you know, I mean, like I said, I've got some basic thoughts, and I'll go into those in another video. But I'm not so sure where you'd really go with season two. So the low ratings might not be terrible in the grand scheme because there might not be a season two to have anyway. On the other hand, this being Star Wars and Disney Plus, like I'm assuming someone's going to pitch a season two of some kind. So, but anyway, like I said, overall, like the episode, like the show. Still just perplexed, like where the hell has this show been? Like they bought Star Wars 10 years ago. They bought it in 2014, if I remember right. Yeah, because I think last year there was a day someone was like, this is the day that they bought it 10 years ago. Like, this is the kid-centric show that adults can sit there and watch with them. Like, where has this been? You know, again, more poor planning on Disney's part. Maybe this will actually work. If I were them, I'd be putting this on ABC and on the Disney Channel. Like, to get the people on basic cable, like, to draw them into the kids. They're like, hey, what's Star Wars? Mom and Dad like, you want to know what Star Wars is? Well, sit down. I've got some movies to show you. At least 3 and or 6 good ones anyway. So, yeah, like this is like the missing piece of the puzzle. Like, I almost dare say they should have done this before they did the sequel trilogy. Or a project like this. But, yeah, probably not, you know, because, I mean, that probably just upset people that they didn't do the sequel trilogy first. And then, of course, people actually saw the sequel trilogy and changed their mind, but, you know, anyway. So, yeah, overall, I think the show was good. I still don't remember Jude Law's character's name. It's like Jod, Nod, Dajuan, something. I don't know. Nana, Jui, something. I don't know. I'm not bothered to learn it, you know, just like I didn't learn Squid Game's name. I think I almost have his name in Squid Game Season 2 remembered versus his one in Star Wars, which is terrible. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Did you watch the show? Are you going to watch the show? Does it sound interesting? Does it sound better than The Acolyte? Did you watch The Acolyte? If so, you have my sympathies. Yeah, anything at all like that? Is there anything from Star Wars you think could turn the ship around? Should they even try at this point? Are you checked out? You still checked in? You like in the lobby debating? It's a torture metaphor, sorry. But anyway, let me know any of that stuff down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing, commenting, what helps grow the channel. I always appreciate it. But that's all I've got. So just remember, the Force will be with you always.